In this week's parasha, you see a lot of explanations speaking about. You see a lot of the parasha is explaining what happened to Rivka Imenu. Tells you the hardship of her pregnancy. Speaks about what the hardship of the pregnancy as well as the birth, what it looked like, exactly the tziyur, and also the way the kids look. A lot of details just about these kinds of things. When we know also the Torah Kedosha is here to teach us life. So what's all these details? Now what are we supposed to glean from this? We know what happened, very nice. But since it's the beginning of the Jewish nation through Yaakov Avinu, and the war that's happening inside or outside with Esav, if we chap what's happening over there, if we understand what's happening, we can get serious kelim, we can get real tools for serving Hashem properly. So, Pasuk starts, Vayomer Hashem la shne goyim bevitnech ushne leumim me'ayich iparedu. So Shem tells Rivka that there's two nations that are fighting inside of her, in her stomach, in her womb, two nations. And then she comes down. Now she's having this hardship in the birth, and she's troubled so much, so she doesn't want to bother her husband, Yitzchak. So what does she do? She goes to the two other Nivim she knows, asks them what's going on, to ask Hashem, what's going on with me? This is what's going on with you. There's these two nations going on. And after this, it seems like she's calmed down. Why did this calm her down? There was a war going on. We thought, there's two nations fighting, coming up. This is calming. That's the first question. Secondly, this nevuah continues with Rav Yavod Sa'ir, and the older one will serve the younger one. This prophecy, assuming the younger one, Yaakov, will be served by Esav. Did we see this actually happening in reality? So typically we hear, okay, Le'atid lavo, in the future, one day, when the world flips around, that's going to be the case. But the prophecy is being given right there and then to Rivka. It should be seen in the world of Rivka. So how do we see this Rav Yavod Sa'ir in actuality? Another question is, as we describe Esav when he comes out, we say, Admoni kulo ka'aderet se'ar, that he was so hairy, he's so hairy that it's as if he's wearing a coat of hair. Aderet se'ar. Doesn't say he was hairy. He was wearing a coat of hair. Why is this using? Why is the Torah using these exact words to describe the way he looks? When it comes time to name him, the pasuk says, "Vaikreu shemo Esav." Rashi tells you, "Hakol kar'u shemo Esav." Everyone called him that. Others, it's just that was the name that he was given. They called him Esav. And then when it comes to Yaakov, it says, Vaikra Shemu Yaakov, and Esav is the name that Yaakov called him. Rashi tells us there, Kadosh Baruch Hu kara Shemu Yaakov. When he speaks about, the pasuk says, Vaikra Shemu Yaakov, who called him Yaakov? Rashi tells you, God calls Yaakov Yaakov. So why is it that people called him Yaakov, and Hashem calls him Yaakov? It's two different people. It's the same person. We already know his name. Good question. And finally, it tells us, Ve'yitzchak ben 60 shana beledet otam. And Yitzchak is 60 years old when he has these children. Why is it now that we tell us the age of Yitzchak? Just to get the chronological order? We'll get it at a different time. So how is it important to tell us this? We don't know. And also it says, Ve'yitzchak ben 60 shana. It sounds like Ve'yitzchak is, and Yitzchak happens to be 60 years old. The Ve sounds like whatever happened with this whole birth, it has to do with this 60 years old. That's why it tells you his age. So what's the connection between the age and the whole tribulations of Rivka's birth? Rivka's giving birth and the kids. Okay, these are good questions. Now, we have to know, when you see big tzaddikim, when you hear stories of tzaddikim, Avad Yosef, we have him on the wall, Rav Eliashiv coming soon on the wall. We know these are Gdolei Ador, Gdolei Olam, not just Gdolei Ador Stam. We're going to be speaking about them now forever. We have pictures of them in their old age, in their hasmada. They're in the limud day and night. Nothing stops them. How did it get to this place? And it even happens to me when you read stories of Gdolim, of how much they push themselves. You wonder, like, how? That's not me. I can't do what they're doing. So what's the point of these stories? Ideally, the point of stories is that that describe the stories of tzaddikim is to tell us how are we supposed to get to this level. I find some things always a little bit missing. In this parasha, we're learning how they got to this place. How did big people become big people? How did Yaakov become Yaakov? Avinu, Bechir Ba'avot, the chosen of all. How did he get to this place? So, if somebody wants to go in the ways of the Avos HaKadoshim, our holy ancestors, he has to connect to his spiritual life, but in a very real way. Not just I want to be holy. That alone doesn't do it. It's to be real. This is the pasuk. Vayitrotzitzu abanim bekirba. There was this war within her. One day a person says, you know what? I think I should start going to nets. I think I should start learning Rambam. I don't know. Or Shas, I'm learning it too slowly. I have to know Shas. I'm going to wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. I'm going to start going into the mikveh. I'm going to sleep early. I'm going to add an extra chavruta at this point. I'm going to work on this midah. A person has these incredible desires to change, to do what's right. Another day, guy wakes up late. He hears the ringer on his phone, on his alarm. He sleeps in. He gets upset with his kids. Right after, the day before, 2 days before, he says, I'm taking a course. I'm reading a book. I have a chavruta. He doesn't want to learn. It's time for learning. He opens up, they have these weekly publications that they leave around shuls. He starts reading that thing in English instead of seeing his real. So, what's going on? Who is he? A person in his gut has this war, from extreme to extreme. He's got a part of him that's really saying, I want to do the greatest things, and it's genuine. And the other side, it's the opposite. There's a concept called kaf hakela. Have you heard of this? Kaf hakela. It's one of the scariest concepts in the books. It's worse than people speak about Gehinom. This is nothing compared to this kaf hakela thing. And it's described very simply as being flung from one end of the world to another. And it's worse than all the other things. So Rav Baruch Mikarlin, he says, this kaf hakela, it's not after a person dies. It's a person who's flung from one end of the world to another in his lifetime. He's going from one day, he's a big tzaddik. He only wants to do good with his mishpacha, with his learning, with his kedusha, with his aliyot. Another day, he finds himself not only not wanting it, doing the exact opposite and hating and upset, and it feels like it's him. He could be a big tzaddik one day and the opposite the other day. This back and forth, he says, that's kaf hakela. If a person doesn't take himself properly, that's their onesh, their punishment. It's just the consequence. That's what they go through. There's some people that have this inner struggle, and they're even jealous when they see people who are calm and collected. They have issue with that. They seem to be, well poised at all times. We always speak about jealousy with money, or this guy has a house, and this guy has Shalom Bayit, look at his kids. But a deeper, more profound bother a person can have is you're jealous of people who just, it's not like you're jealous of his kids and his Shalom Bayit and he owns a house and he learns so well. It's underneath it, he has the ability to just be calm enough to remove this bad part of him and activate his good self. And really a person is jealous of that. And he's burning himself up inside and even hates himself. He doesn't hate himself, he thinks he's bad. He hates that he's going back and forth. The person hates the fact that they're back and forth. I'm up, I'm down, I can't take it anymore. Usually I can't take this back and forth. Kaf hakela. And he wants this, just keep this quiet, keep it quiet. So what are you supposed to do? Go to a psychologist? Some people feel, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I think I'm almost, people confide, I think I'm dual personality. Who's the real me? Hashem Yishmor, a person should think I'm the bad guy. The flip side, God forbid you think you're the good guy, because no, You're never going to change the other person. So which are you? Whenever we catch you on the opposite, you say that's you. People say, you're such a tzaddik. I go, no, I'm not. I know the truth. The truth is I'm on this side. And people say, this guy, or maybe like the guy's wife says, you're no good, you're no good. Me? What about you? I'm a tzaddik compared to you. So which one are you? You're confused. You don't know which one you are. And go to a therapist. Go to a coach. That's the answer. So there are some people, a guy can go to kollel in the morning, afternoon, evening, he comes home, and without even flinching, he can watch a movie at night, and he continues in his life. And you have to be normal. It's okay. Be balanced. Rahman Aslan for this person. He doesn't have this idrotzetsu. He doesn't have this back and forth. The Torah is telling us this is a force. This is real. This is Rivka Imenu. It's a real spiritual force. God forbid a person doesn't flinch at the fact that they have this back and forth. They make peace with it. You make peace, like it's all good. It's fine. You're okay being both people. Doesn't make any sense. So a person who's in this turmoil, it's normal. The Torah explains this thing exists. The birth of the Jewish people. If you have this, you exist. You actually are. The Torah speaks about you. You're on the right path. Okay, you exist. Going to scientific help and whatnot, not to take that away. There's room for therapy and whatnot. Good, but that's not what we're supposed to be doing. What we're supposed to be doing. What's happening? As Hashem saying, I'm putting inside of you these challenges that are going to throw you off, so you can realize, let's work together. It's not that you're bad, not that you're great, it's just, you got to work on this. Rivka is told, there's two forces inside of you. A person has a nefesh behemit, nefesh elokit. They have a high self and a low self, and they live together. They live together. You've heard this idea before. It's not a shock. We always say it like it's of course. We're not here. We're learning Derech Baal Shem Tov. This path of Torah is not just to get cool ideas. We're not just trying to answer cool questions. Open any random book, you'll find great questions and great answers. And you probably even have books you love. I love this book because he has such good kashas. And he has such good tirutzim. Keep reading that. It's very nice. You're not going to change from that. You're not going to go up in Avodas Hashem from reading those books. They're very nice for saying something nice. Shever Bachot at the Shabbat table to impress your friends when you have nothing to talk about. Keep going. But don't fool yourself to think anything is happening. So, this Torah is real. We said you want to really be a real person, a real Jew. Bring Hashem be'emes in our lives. Be'emet. Good. So we know this concept. Let's not just be aware of it. Let's experience it. That's what we learn. We experience, that's what Nefesh Behemit means. And that's what Nefesh Elokit means. When we tell Rivka, you have these two forces inside, she goes, okay, I'm not crazy. Because we think we're crazy that we have these two forces. Let's be real. We think when no one's looking, because we're scared of saying it, we think we don't understand. And at some point people they stop trying to be the great self. Because what's the point? I keep falling every time. It's normal. That you hear this voice to tell you it's normal to fall. It's normal to fall. Okay, but it's not nice. At some point, I'm sick of falling. I'm just gonna lie down so there's no more falling. And you're just no good. Be it in Shalom Bayit, being raising kids. I always say these topics because they're the ugliest topics we can speak about. The most private, the most painful in a person's life. Outside, we keep Torah Mitzvot. We don't have this challenge. And if you do, okay, fine. That's the challenge. But much more profoundly disturbing is our home life. You don't know anything about it. We just see Rav Eliashiv learning over there. His wife doesn't talk to him. The kids talk to him as if he's a Malach Hashem. And I don't see any struggle in that. So that's not the place we're going to learn from looking at that picture how to live. Nor do we even think that's a place of struggle. We think we're sick because we have this problem. No one else does. The Torah is coming to say there's this happening inside of you. Pasuk says, V'rav yavot tzayir. Baal Shem Tov tells us, שהרבה עבודה צריכה כדי להגיע לצעיר. It takes רב יעבוד צעיר. It'll be a lot of work. רב יעבוד. It'll be tremendous work to be a tzayir. To see yourself, I'm going to make myself a bit smaller and realize I'm not in control of these two forces inside of me. We're not saying you're the Russia. You have to make yourself, say humble in English, make yourself small to say, there's these forces. They're almost beyond me. Rivka was comforted when she saw there's these two forces. The forces didn't calm down once she got this prophecy. Didn't stop. She still had the pain afterwards. It didn't go away. Rav Yavod Tzayir. Oh, thank you. Okay. So I have to put a lot of work to appreciate there's the struggle inside. Rivka was fine after that. And if a person just has a thought, we don't have to become these kinds of people that have a bad side. See, on a good day, you're going to Kollel, you're going to Shul, you're going to learn, whatever it is you have. And you have a thought, I don't feel like going, or I thought about your chavruta, or about the person you're with, or about whatever business. You have that thought alone is your hidrotzitzut. You have hakpadot, you have you're upset with somebody and you're holding on to it. I'm laughing at the same time because it's silly that we do both. You're holding on to these things. Just having the thought is the struggle. You don't actually have to become a Russia to say, I have my ups and downs. Just having the thought of something negative is considered a down. If you're wise, you take this to heart. From that point when you realize, wow, I just had nefila, I just fell. I'm not at that crazy high level. I'm walking to a holy place. I'm walking into Kollel and I'm thinking I don't know what. You should go, wow. Right there you should stop and pray. You should realize, Hashem, I need you to help me to balance this out. I need you to help me to bring out this tzaddik inside of me, to bring the Yaakov out. You have to help me because these forces are so strong. I could be sitting and learning and have a crazy thought. Who's in control here? I don't have control. Do you? When do we have control? So it's a time to pray. It's a time to pray. Now, if a person doesn't pray and realize that they're so fragile and ask Hashem for help and feel like it's going to be okay, I prayed, I davened. We have to have emunah, our prayers actually do something. Every prayer, says the Rebbe of Shlamim, goes, is it answered on the spot. Many tzaddikim have said the same thing. Every prayer is answered. You have to know the prayer is being answered. Hashem hears you. The person can actually not believe it, and they broke Hashem's hashgacha. It's going to come. The guy wants help. It didn't work. It's coming. It's right there. Just his belief in not it working breaks it down. So, okay. But if a person doesn't actually do this work, and we don't do this work all the time, and the pasuk says, "Mimayach iparedu," and it's going to come out. Eventually, this bad thought you had on your wife, on your kids, on your chavruta, on yourself, I'm not capable. I don't know how long you can maintain this high level. Okay, so you have a thought that you're not so good, that they're not so good, that it's going to come out. And then, Vayetze Rishon Admoni. The first thing that comes out, Admoni, the red, the fire, the anger, that comes out. If you don't do this work of appreciating, there's a war inside, comes out red. And then it's pretty intense, and it's a bit too late by that point. Okay. It's a bit late, but now you finally see it, and you realize, wow, there is this, they call it Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. As if, that guy had a problem. He had an issue. Everyone else is normal, but this guy had these two things inside. Maybe they're crazy, actually, which is the next point. It says, Kulo kaderet se'ar. What happens when a person realizes they have all these bad sides? They put on a nice aderet, a nice coat, a nice superficial mask of everything's fine. Se'ar it covers them up. You're covered up as if everything's fine. You wear your hat. You have you're not close my shirt today. It looks nice. Everything. I look like I'm all put together. If I really wanted to fool you more, I'd put on a tie. Then I really look like I got it together. Looks good, doesn't it? And I go and I see people, I go like this with my head. Shalom Aleichem. Aderet se'ar. Aderet se'ar. To the point where the person even doesn't even know that they have this war going on. So someone calls them out. You know, the kid, you hit the kid. The guy hits this kid a little bit. Now the kids are getting all crazy. He hits the kid, and the guy's wife says, "Why'd you hit the kid?" It's Chinuch. He puts a nice coat. It's all good. Or she says to the husband, "Why are you screaming at me? Why are you screaming?" Because you made me crazy. Because you pushed all the buttons and you did what you're supposed to do. It's her. It's her. It's the kid's fault. It's not me. I have a nice coat. So that tells us that's what a person does. They put on this nice coat. Everything's fine with me. Or screaming at children or screaming at one's spouse. Goes for women also. You make me crazy. You make me crazy. It's them. Not I have anger problems. I have a hard time controlling my anger. It's the other person. So this is the problem with the Esav. Within us, he puts on the clothing as if everything's fine. But there's hope. There's actually real hope. Vaikreu shemo Esav. Vaikreu shemo Esav. They are called Esav. Hashem says to a person, if you don't realize, my sweet friend, that you are not really holding where you think you are, you're not the best game in town, so they will call to you Esav. People will start saying, you're so selfish, you have so many issues, you're so angry, you're not really holding, you're not Talmid Chacham. So people will start saying this to you. You go, what? They'll start calling to you. But it's really Hashem called him Yaakov. It's really Hashem calling to you, saying, wake up. He's calling to you through family, friends, situations, whatever it is. Hashem calls to you. Why is he calling to you? Why is he putting all these things inside? Why is he calling outside to awaken your craziness? You think you're making headway for a few days, a few weeks, everything's fine, and then stuff happens. It's them. I'm no good. No. Hashem says, speak with me to help you out in a situation, to smooth out this inner struggle. You call it to me, then we'll be fine. We'll be good. So on this, then we have Esav is born. Why does the pasuk say that when Esav came out, Yaakov was holding on to his heel? It means that when you hold on to your Esav, when you recognize, when you identify, I have not anger issues like in the therapeutic way. We have midah of anger that comes out a lot, of gava, of pride, of selfishness, of laziness. When you recognize it, hold on to the bottom part, meaning be real. Don't be one of these people who says, yeah, everyone gets angry. And everyone gets angry. Everyone loses it sometimes. Everybody has a bit of laziness. It's very nice. No, go to the bottom and say, yeah, I really get angry. Go to the negative, to the low of the low. That way you're real with that part. Hold on to that part for real. Yeah? I really get angry. I haven't worked out my anger. I haven't worked out my self-confidence. Self-confidence, because when a person's confident in their life, then they don't need other people to misameach them. Be real with the lower part, and then you could really be with Hashem and pray, please help me out with this. This war is extreme. It's too much for me. That's why the pasuk says this. So, practically speaking, you can use this. It's amazing what you can do with our kids, with Chinuch. People always ask. I want to speak one time for people in Shalom Bayit. I'll give them some beautiful ideas. They say, can you speak about Chinuch? Can you speak about Chinuch? Chinuch is a bit of the problem. I think the big issue people have is between people who divorce. They don't divorce their kids. There's a bigger issue with Shalom Bayit, yet people will say, give me Chinuch. Chinuch is it's in our guts. We need to understand how to do this properly. So the kid comes home from yeshiva for a cheder and says, I want an Xbox. I want to go play in the leagues. I want to play the basketball league. I want a new scooter. I want to watch movies a bit. Nothing crazy, just a few movies. And you're thinking, what's this kid? And one day next day the kid comes, I want a dog. You're thinking, just get involved in your learning. What's all these crazy things you want? Relax. Okay, it comes back another day. I want to go to Wonderland. I want to go on roller coasters and everything. One day he wants this, he wants that, he wants this. You think this kid's not okay. You go to shul, other kids, they're praying, they have the little hat. Not even at the hat age, they have the hat. The Sephardi shul, they have the talit, and they have the thing on their heads, little tzaddikim. You look at your kids, he wants video games, rides, dogs, Every day it's a new thing. Can you buy these cereal with only sugar inside and chocolate balls inside? Have something healthy. You think your kid's crazy. No. No. If you appreciate him also, he's got this crazy stuff going on inside. So you can speak to him gently and understand. I hear, yeah, you want these things. They're fun, right? I know. The big problem is when you feel it's not okay and you come down hard on the kids. But if you can see that within yourself, within the person, it's much better. Same thing with a teenager. Teenager wakes up one day. I had it recently. The kid says, I don't want to go daven this morning. I hear, okay, come daven with me then. Don't go to school to come with me. Something nice, we'll have breakfast afterwards. I understand. It's not always easy. Sleep in a little bit more, we'll go to the later minyan together. Because you appreciate that the person is built with banim within them. What kind of parent could we become if we understood this and we lived like this? Instead always Chinuch. Remember? Chinuch. You scream, you hit with your word. When you hit, I mean with your words, in the name of Chinuch. I'll tell you this last little story. There's this man who unfortunately got divorced. He was speaking to the Rav. He got divorced. And she stopped being religious. She's no longer religious. And he's still Yerei Shamayim, Torah person. And the kids are stuck in between. And they go to this house and they go to this house, back and forth. It was a bit confusing as these situations could be. And with time, the mother was trying to get the kids to be more in her house. And the father, who saw that there was an influence from the mother to have no Shabbat and everything's on, there's TV, and meanwhile he's a proper frum person. He was scared, so he says, no way you come to my house. When it's my Shabbat, there's Shabbat here, there's rules. There's brachot before you eat. It's not hefker. It's not a free-for-all. And eventually the kids were a bit taken aback by this because at the same time the mother was saying, your father's no good, and she started playing this up and saying, you see, he doesn't let you be who you want to be. He's too harsh. Come over here. You could do whatever you want. There's no rules. Don't worry about it. I love you guys and whatever you want. And eventually, and this, by the way, this made the father more and more upset. And eventually the kids stopped speaking to the father. And they grew up not speaking to their father, never seeing him further. And terrible thing. So this father was speaking to the Rav. And he says, what am I supposed to do with this? You're not supposed to, this is how you make out of your kids? This is how you bring your kids closer to you? Not kiruv in terms of Yiddishkeit, in terms of Judaism. Kiruv in terms of bringing a closeness to your family. Bring closeness. This is not the way by being so... Okay, he says, do you call your kids? No. What would we talk about? They're not religious. You're their parent. Be warm. Be loving. See how you're doing. So that's what the father did. He called his son. The son at this point moved to Eilat in Israel. Eilat is the Miami Beach times 10. It's the opposite of Bnei Brak and Yerushalayim. The son's living over there. He calls him up. He says, hey, how are you doing? He says, good. Now the son is very, apprehensive, doubtful. Like, what do you want? Nothing, just seeing how you're doing and just checking up. Okay. You see, they were speaking enough that the phone call wasn't a shock. They were speaking very little. Okay, just want to see how you're doing, my son. Okay, good, hangs up. Very nice. Calls him another week later, and he asked him how he's doing again. And he asked him, you mind if I come over? I want to see you. And I said, can we see each other? He says, yeah, sure. I live in Eilat, come see me. It's very far for me to travel. There's no problem. No, actually, no, come see you. I'll get back to you. He calls the Rav. I'm supposed to go to Eilat? He says, yes. Not a word about Shabbat. Just go. Just be with him. Just be with him. The father goes to Eilat. He brings the chalot. He brings the hot plate. He brings the water boiler. He brings his Shabbat tzitzit. And they spend Shabbat together. What happens? Shalom Aleichem. The kid's he's off. He's quiet. He just do your thing. He does Shabbat. He does Kiddush. He washes. The boy doesn't wash. Zamotzi. The boy doesn't even eat the bread. Birkat HaMazon. The guy's quiet. They sings Mirot by himself. He just does his own thing. They would take a few walks over Shabbat because he's not driving around. And they schmooze and so on. And that's it. The son calls his father the next week. And he says, Dad, it's really it's really hard. The rent over here is really difficult. Remember, the next week, calls his father, says, rent is really expensive here. It's by the beach. It's a beach town, super town. You mind helping me out this week with rent? It's a bit hard. Says, no problem. I'll help you out. Okay. 2 weeks pass, or a month pass. The son says, the rent here is really, really high. It's a bit much for me. You mind helping me find an apartment near you, like in Bnei Brak somewhere, and you mind helping me find a place? The father says, you move here, I'll pay your rent. And the boy moved to be near his father, who didn't give him Musa, didn't fight with his nefesh be'emit, with his lower self, who wanted to just be free. He accepted a person has turmoils, and through this, he saved his son. And if only a person would understand that that's the way we speak to our kids, and also girls, the same thing. If girls learn this when they're young, and then they see a bit of craziness in their spouses, they won't be shocked and say, he's crazy. When people get divorced, I've heard almost every time they're crazy. Almost every time, I think they're mentally deranged. I think every single time. Almost. Or how about they're just normal, they just have this crazy back and forth, just like you, just like me, just like everyone. And we have to learn how to work with that. If only we learned this at a younger age, we wouldn't be so shocked when it comes out, and we learn how to deal with things, with ourselves. And that's why the pasuk says, "V'Yitzchak ben shishim shana beledat otam." Person might think this is for kids who want dogs and video games and roller skates, or a boy who wants to live in Eilat and wants to be free. It's only for young people. No, the Torah is saying even when you're 60 years old, you're still going to have this craziness going on inside. This is a lifelong experience. It doesn't finish. With this, B'ezrat Hashem, we should learn how to bring up both sides of ourselves to the service of Hashem, to be at peace with this hidrotzitzut, and we should put our energies into this Rav Yavod Tzayir, that it takes a lot of work, but if we do, to become this smaller person who can say, I can't do this without Hashem's help, we'll have a Kadosh Baruch Hu in our lives, and B'ezrat Hashem, peace. Amen.